what does it?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. So, what's going on with you guys? It was a very wet night. We had snow in the morning, but as soon as I saw it, it was time for me to have my Skype appointments. And 3 hours later, when I finished with my appointments, there was no snow. I couldn't, I couldn't see it or enjoy it. And then it was all rain. So, as usual, I went for my 5, 6 kilometer walk every night by the ocean, and it was wet. When I got back, I was soaked, which happens often when I go in the rain. I go in rain, rain or shine. So, but I'm all dried out and have my tea here. Lovely to be here. Let's see who's here. So we have Bubble Bubble. Says, hey, a week ago, you really helped me out with your response. Thank you, Julia from Germany. Guten Tag, Julia. Wie geht's heute dir? And glad that I was helpful. And let me know your age. And hopefully you're here and you can stay with us tonight, at least for the next while when we're live. At least part of it, I mean. Aman says, hey, Mehranabi. Actually, I had a couple of friends. They were from Turkey. Very good people. And they used to call me Mehranabi. I said, what does that mean? They said it means older brother or older person, bro or something like that. So that is actually a word in Turkish. Abi, Mehranabi. So Aman says, that name sounds cool. Okay. 20 Mail India. Thank you for that. And he says, I recently started talking with a girl and went on a day out with her instead of thinking about HOCD. And I had no intention to make her my girlfriend or something, but but that day, due to no intention, I just enjoyed. That's good. That's what I was hoping you do. But my libido went down. What? And the enjoyment went down simultaneously because you expect to test yourself. You expect to feel something that it will mean something. Just go out, socialize. Stop thinking that you got to feel this way, that way, not feel this way, not that way. Just you're ruining your enjoyment by interpreting all these and just tuning into. Just go and socialize. Yeah, and now you have anxiety that if you don't call her, talk to her, she may lose interest. Maybe you messed it up. That's a normal feeling every guy has when they go out with a girl, and when the date finishes, they keep thinking, Did I mess it up? Is she gonna call me? Will I be able to go out with her again? Or did I mess it up and she's bored and she doesn't want? It's just it's all right. It's normal. Um, Sonia is here. Hello, Sonia. How are you, dear? Aman says my fear is that I get girl going every time. Everything get girl going. Everything well, and then suddenly she's getting disinterested and make everything dead and leave. So you keep doing it until you find a girl who wants to continue enjoying your company. It's not a race, or I get a point. Or this girl I went out, she's now. Uh, they just want to socialize. You want to socialize, and eventually, at some age, you hit it off. So, don't have any intention. You'll be all right. Obviously, every guy has an intention in his head when he goes out with a girl, but you don't have to focus on that. That part of it is normal, but trying to fret about it and stress about it and wonder about it, that's not good. That's not a good idea. She feels it. She feels that you're desperate. She feels that you want something, that you're willing to do anything for it. She loses interest. Just be yourself. Interact. That's all. If something comes out of it, great. If it doesn't, don't go in there just because you want to make something out of it. All right. Why is it that we only have 5 people here? What happened? Sonia, how are you tonight? Your energy is different tonight. I hope everything is okay. And who else is here? It's pretty much Aman, Bubble Bubble, and Sonia. Oh, there is Zani Todi. Zani Tudi? Zani Todi? Says, hey, Meran, hello. And how about a little help? Gender, age, where you tuning in from? Remember the protocol, guys? I guess we can sit here, look at each other. I mean, I look at myself and you guys look at yourselves. Or look at me. Because it looks like it's going to take a while before people know we're live so they can join us. I found out that this time of night is actually preferred by many of you. That's why I chose it again, especially that it's a night before Saturday. So in many parts of the world, it's morning. Europe, it's morning now. Middle East is morning. India is morning. Australia is in the afternoon, about 7 o'clock or so. So it's a good time selection, but again, as usual, most people don't know we are live, let alone live, let alone have a channel. Black Philip says, I'm under. Okay, there you go. Okay. Good. Keep it up, Black Philip. Maybe you can get through to Aman. I don't seem to be able to get through his head. He's got a thick head. So why don't I take a nap and you guys wake me up when there's a question? Uh, I wonder if I should change the time. Oh my goodness. It was cold and wet, so obviously it was 2 degrees and raining like, rain cats and dogs. Martin, Strada says, hello. Says, all your videos helped me this past year. Well, delighted to hear that. Could you kindly let me know your age, gender, where you're tuning in from, which country? Black Philip says, Black Philip, please let me know, give me the protocol that we expect here. Age, gender, where you're tuning in from, which country, how old you are, which gender you are. That gives me a little bit of information about you guys. Martin says 19 male USA. Thank you for that. And Martin doesn't ask anything. He actually gives us a good, uh, just gives us a thank you. And I'm glad that the videos have been helpful to you, Martin. And Black Phillip says, Fort Worth, Texas, male 33. Thank you for that. Last time I was in Texas, it was in 2007. I went to Houston. And way, way back, I stayed in Dallas with a friend of mine years ago. We used to be childhood friends. We used to make a model aircraft together and fly it when we were in high school. And then I left the university and he went somewhere else. And years passed, like, I don't know, 35 years passed. And then, well, maybe 20 years passed. Then we lost contact again. Then we found each other. It's just Dallas has been, Texas, I've been there a few times, a couple of times. So, Diemos, Brazil, 27. You forgot to say male or female, what your gender? Because I don't know what Diemos is for, men or women, what name? I can't tell from the names. And Diemos says, I found your channel months ago and it's been a blessing. You helped me in difficult moments and I'm grateful. I do have a question about my situation. By all means. But before you go on to your question, I have a question. Maybe you guys can try to answer it. Why is it that every single one of you, pretty much, whether on live streams or on comments that comes through hundreds and hundreds of comments every month, and I, as much as I can find them, I answer them personally with intention of connecting with you and proper attention and carefully. And so many people have said that you deserve a couple of million subscribers. And all of you guys seem to be pleased and happy and finding the channel helpful. And you tell me about that. Then why is it that our subscription number is low and our live streams are like this? 8 people. And if we're really humming, it'll be like 20. At one time, we used to hit 30, 33. So, what is it? If it's really good and helpful, as most of you have told me directly, then why is it that we are not visible? People haven't, they don't line up for the live stream, and suddenly we don't have 2,000 people in the live stream. Can anybody answer me that? And oh, the protocol. Male 66, Vancouver, Canada. And basal ganglia. You change the screen name to basal ganglia, where striatum and caudate nucleus is. Good for you. Basal ganglia says, I'm a guy who's struggling with HOCD for 1.5 months. But after I saw your videos 2 weeks ago, I think that your explanation about thoughts and brain helped me a lot to cure HOCD. Sorry for my English. Why are you sorry? Your English is very good. And thank you very much for the kind words. And I'm delighted, very happy to see that the videos have been helpful and help you guys to understand a little bit more about your psyche, separation between brain and you. And then the jig is up for the brain. The brain cannot fool you anymore to pretend that when something shows up in the screen of the head, that's you. That's not you. That's brain. And just like any other part of you, brain malfunctions. So you got to learn and educate yourself and help it to rewire itself through neuroplasticity and the way you treat the thoughts that show up. And you free yourself and become wiser and stronger. And then you will not be freaking out when brain malfunctions, because you know it's an apparatus, it's an organ and malfunctioning. So you help it, teach it, and bring it back to line for however it's programmed to function for you. And thank you again for that, basal ganglia. Liam Edmonds. Hang on, I just saw an old subscriber. My goodness, where the heck have you been, Ida? It's been years since you have shown up on one of the live streams. Delighted to see you here. Hope everything is well for you. I hope that you're keeping healthy and enjoying life as much as we could in the crazy world that has been created. Ida says, Salam, how are you? And says, what tea are you having these days? Well, actually, this is a new found about maybe a couple of months, maybe more. No, a couple of months, maybe less. It is roasted dandelion. Roasted dandelion root. And it's a cross between tea and coffee, with no caffeine, of course. And as you know, dandelion grows in every backyard. Anywhere you look at it, any house you look at it, there could be dandelion there. And apparently they're very healthy, very good for heart, very good, lots of nutritional values in there. And I remember when my mother had hired some gardeners to do some gardening of our house, and this Chinese gentleman who was master gardener, and his workers were working, and he was doing some of the stuff himself. And I noticed that he picked something out of the ground and started cleaning it out with his knife, and then he ate it, crunch it out, crunch, crunch, crunch. And he said, "This is good for you." He said it's very good for health. Later on, I found out that was dandelion root, which grows everywhere. Well, that was when my parents were living in the house. My dad is gone, and my mom is now in the care center. So, and that house is sold, but I remember all these little things about it. All right, now let's go back to where we were. Liam Edmonds So some YouTubers say it's possible that HOCD thoughts are true, and that makes me scared. Who are these people that you say some YouTubers? I mean, YouTuber is not a uh, it's not a psychologist or a specialist. You see what the psychologist, psychotherapist with science background and studies and research on what HOCD is, and then you will educate yourself. Otherwise, listening to this and that and so forth is the worst thing you can do. You got to make sure the source has got knowledge, research, education, intention, proper intention, and introducing um, truthful information that has been gathered, researched based on scientific studies of psychologists, psychotherapists, neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, and then you learn from that. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry who says something, who knows what intention they have? Who knows how accurate they are? Who knows what their background is? Who knows if they themselves have researched enough to know what they're saying could actually be wrong, but they haven't researched. They think it's right, they haven't researched. So don't treat something that you want to learn by just reading everything that comes out just has HOCD on it. All right. And this is exactly typical OCD. In OCD, which is called, really, French call it doubting disease, it's when you actually focus on everything that anybody says in a negative way, you latch on to that because it's a doubting disease. You're looking for anything negative in order to give yourself reassurance to find out that that negative, does it does it mean something? Is there anything negative there? And as soon as you find it, then everything else that you research, everything else that explained everything to you goes out the window. Because why? The OCD disease makes you just pay attention to the negative stuff that is irrelevant to you, but it alarms you because your amygdala is on heightened alert. It exaggerates everything and makes you focus on everything to become more alert to protect yourself. In that mode of protection, anything that you're looking at is for negative. Why? Because you want to protect yourself. If you are given a contract to protect a mansion, what do you focus on? You're constantly looking for anything suspicious, anything negative. You're constantly conjuring up, what if they attack from there? Or they might be attacking from there. Or maybe they come through the roof. Or maybe you're always looking for things that are negative in order to be able to protect the mansion. You can't be sitting and say, oh, I know everything is safe and everything is secure. I don't need to worry. No, you are creating, if you don't see anything hazardous, but you create hazard in order to be more alert. Amygdala, that's what it does. Especially when you have OCD, it overreacts and makes you only pay attention to anything that could be contrary to what you are. Because you're looking for a danger. Why? Because you say, if I can't find it, then I'm okay. But if I find it, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? That's the behavior. Don't fall for that shit. Even if you hear something that is just weird, well, research, find out. There's so many other psychologists, psychotherapists, specialists that talk sense and can teach you. And then you'll see, okay, what the other ones were saying is bullshit. Or it's not a general thing anyhow. Okay. Otto Gipko says, brain can be your best friend or worst enemy. Canada Mail. Yeah, that's true. That's why you want to know everything about it. They say keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer because you want to know everything there is to know about your enemies. And HOCD is a glitch, is a malfunction of the signaling system of the brain. So you want to know everything you can about the behavior of the brain, and then on that basis you can be able to manage anything that is irrelevant to you. You will see it. M. Diamos says, yes, my name is pronounced Diamos, like Simos. Oh, Dimos? Oh, Dimos. Like Simos with a silent M. Silent M? You mean Dios? Dios. Con Dios. Dios. Simos with a silent M and a D. You mean D is also silent? So Imos, and I'm a male. So it's either Dimos or Dios or Eos. If M and D both are silent, that would be Eos. And Liam Edmonds says his name is OCD Mindful. What is that? Where? Who? And Liam says they say do ERP, which I don't want to do. Okay. DeLorean. Oh, DeLorean. 80 says your videos helped me a lot in terms of my recent breakup. My girlfriend, if 3 years, my girlfriend of 3 years left me about 4 weeks ago. Now I am filled with loneliness and doubts to ever find a girl like that. Oh, really? Did you know that you're going to find this girl 3 years ago? Like you had a permission, like you knew that this is coming, or you will be finding this girl before you found her. Before you met her, did you know it? Because if you did know it, I can understand. Well, this time you don't know, right? That means it's not going to happen. But if you tell me, no, last time, before I get this girlfriend, I had no idea I'm going to find this girl, then I'd say, if you didn't have any idea that you will meet this girl, and you did, but you had no idea before you met her, then what stops you from understanding that just because you think or you don't know that you will meet somebody doesn't mean you won't? It's no different than last time. None of us know when we're going to meet a girl. So thinking about that, oh, will I ever find another one? Well, how did you find this one? Somebody came at your door, knocked, and says, hey, sir, there is a girl who really, we think you got. No, it just happened. You had no idea. So this same thing is going to happen again. Doesn't matter if you want it or not. It's going to happen anyhow. Because life is a river. This river continues constantly flowing. And on its flow, it's going to run into so many things and almost everything that life has to offer. So whether you want it or not, you're going to run into another girl. And she's going to run into you. Just going to happen. That's the way of the river. That's the way of life. So the mechanism is already there. Whether you want it or not, you're going to meet somebody. And usually that somebody is going to lead to something, some relationship. And if it wasn't the right one, it won't work and you will find another one. There's always going to be another possibilities. Show me one thing in the world that there's only one of it, other than you. Trees, any species of trees, there are millions and millions of them. Hmm? What else? Flowers, animals, birds, insects. There's none that there's only one. So why is it that when it comes to girls, you think, oh, there's only one? Just like trees, like the bushes, like the flowers, like the animals, like anything else, there are millions of possibilities and opportunities. Chances are very high for you to hit a bunch of them during your lifetime than none. Yeah? So stop being unreasonable. Um, and he says, DeLorean says, during our relationship, I often had doubts, and there were things I didn't like. But now, as she left, it feels like she's the best girl on earth. Yeah, that's how he looks. So you're a normal guy. um, and is anybody going to answer my question at all, or are you just going to ignore it? Liam says the YouTubers that I said were that thoughts could come true is OCD mindful. He Everyone says the only way to overcome is exposure response prevention. It's not the only way, but is a gold standard of treatment of when you can't get rid of HOCD, and that's again trying to take that fear and belief that you're helpless, that you're threatened out of the picture. And then you see once the fear is gone, then it's not going to freak you out. It's not going to affect you, and you can carry on and get back to uh, the balance that your brain had. You rewire it. But first thing you got to do, you got to stop being afraid of it. It's kind of like when you want to go through a dark alley. And what do? You're scared. You don't want to go in. So in order to kind of help yourself, you start whistling, don't you? And you're scared, but this sound kind of takes the edge off and makes you capable of walking through it without, even though you're fearful, but you have a way to handle the fear because you have put your notice and focus on the fact that there's illusory fear, not a definite fear. And that's why you're whistling to remind yourself that this is not a danger. This is what I think is a danger. Because the brain doesn't understand that there is a real threat in the dark alley or there is not. As long as it's dark and it cannot see, it thinks there is a danger there. Even though there is none, but the thought of danger makes the brain to make the amygdala become overactive and alert and make you feel the fear. And if you don't go through the dark alley, you will always be fearful when you see a dark alley. But when you whistle and actually manage somehow to go through it, then you start thinking that, okay, when it's dark alley, I'm not going to freak out because I know I can manage it. So I'm not going to fall for the illusion of danger because I can handle going through it. I've done it before. So you take the fear edge off, then you can manage the dark alley. But if you let the fear stay, you can't even go in and you will always think there is a danger in that alley. So same thing with HOCD in a way. You got to be clear that there is no real danger. It's an illusory danger which stops you from actually doing your normal day-to-day things. Once you become aware that this is an illusory thing, this is a virtual thinking, it's not an actual danger, it's not an actual any suggestion that it's showing up in your head, none of them is actual. When you can see the separation between brain thoughts, and you and your thoughts, and you are confident that these are illusory thoughts and they have no power on themselves, they cannot make you do anything because you're the only person on earth who can allow any of these thoughts to turn into an action or not. The thoughts by themselves cannot turn themselves into action. They can be annoying and fearful to you, but you're the only one who can allow any suggestion to turn into action or not. And because you have the power of vetoes and choices, well, you veto every thought that you find it not in line with your values. So on that basis, because you're the only power that can allow or not allow any thought to become an action or actuality or not, then you're safe all the time, regardless of what thought shows up. So you go through all these challenges and what makes you feel uncomfortable about these things because you are damn sure that the thoughts on their own cannot make you do anything. They annoy you, scare you, make you doubt things. But unless you allow it, because you're the only power, none of them can harm you or make you change to anything. So you protect your values and you can be sure that I can handle this. Then the brain is not going to make you fearful anymore. Once you deal with that fear, it's the first step of making this HOCD become just a nuisance rather than something that you could be scared of it because you believe the fear that it creates. All right. And we have Basal Ganglia says, "You're so helpful. Thank you so much, Mary." You're quite welcome. I appreciate that. Martin Estrada says, "The question about why the viewers aren't here." Yes, yes, that was the question. Thank you. Everybody ignores me. How about if I ignore you guys? Damn it. Answer me. DeLorean says, "Thank you. This helped a lot." You're quite welcome. MD Samir Khan says, "How study seriously?" How to study seriously? Well, focus on what happens if you don't. Is it going to help you to get a good job? Translate what you're doing to the well being of the life you want to build. In other words, don't study because you have to study to get a good grade. Focus on, if I study well and learn this, it will help me one step get further to accomplish my goal, which is building a good life. Why? Because I graduate, I go to a higher level, and then I finish that, and eventually I graduate, and I can get a good job, and I can make money. I can pay my rent. I can put food on table. So translate the reason you're studying to something that is going to make a change in your life. Not because I got to get good grade, because I got to pass it. Why? Why do you want to pass it? Is it I gotta pass it or I want to pass it? Is it I have to learn it so I can get it great or I want to learn it? Because if I want to learn it, nothing can stop me from learning it. Why? Because I know why I want to learn it. So I can actually finish my studying and then be able to use it to build my life, to put food on the table. So that would be giving you a serious intention to study very comfortably and understand everything because you want to, hmm, for what you want to build in life. Kanak Malhotra. So, sir, please answer my query about a neighbor having clean OCD and destroyed his life. Uh-huh. This frightens me when I see towards my OCD how to think positively. Why is it everything frightens you? Why are you so helpless that anything comes to your head? Whose head is it? Does it have legs and eyes on its own, or is it yours? If it's yours, then it cannot do anything, doesn't matter what it thinks, unless you allow it. So, why would it freak you out? The guy who's doing the clean freak style washes his hand, washes everything, and he's got a severe OCD. He needs to go to a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and get help. You know, I had the same problem. I had all kinds of OCDs, all kinds since childhood. But once I started recognizing this as something to do with the brain glitch, which there are certain kind of obsessions that you do a compulsion for. For example, you think you got to clean that kitchen counter 5 times, or you think you got to wash your hands more than usual. So you have an obsession. Oh, hand dirty. So you wash it. That's a compulsion to wash it. So you do the compulsion. And then what happens? You feel good. Ah. And when you feel good, you know what happens? The brain secretes dopamine. When the brain secretes dopamine, that's why it gives you news that something good is happening, a good feeling. Ah. So obsession, I have to wash my hands. Compulsion, I wash my hands. I feel good, dopamine. Ah. Guess what? After a while, you're no longer doing the compulsion just because there was an obsession. You're doing the compulsion partly because the obsession, I gotta wash it, it's dirty. Even though it's not dirty, but you think I gotta wash it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And the other part, you're doing it because you are addicted to the dopamine now. Because you did it so often, and every time you say, I feel better now. I feel secure and safe. That good feeling secretes dopamine. And after a while, dopamine can get you addicted. Now you're doing the compulsion for the obsession and the dopamine. Guess what? That's not the end of it. Once you do thousands of times, then no longer you're doing it for the obsession or the dopamine. Because when you do so many times, because addiction to dopamine, you do the compulsion so many times, no longer you're doing it for dopamine either. You're doing it because it becomes your habit. Why? Because the reward center and the goal finding center, reward center, and habit center, they're all right on top of each other. So when you get dopamine reward center, every time it's stimulated, the habit center is right underneath it or top of it. I'm not sure. They're right on top of each other. So in fact, you are creating, through neuroplasticity, you're creating a habit of doing something because every time you did it, dopamine was secreted and you felt good about it. And you keep continuing it. And before you know it, it's right on top of the habit center. That's why neuroscience of habits, which a very important study was done with Professor Anne Grable, using her postgraduate study, Kyle Smith, doing a special study on rats in a laboratory, which exactly did the same thing. There was 2 sets of sound was being played, and the rats were conditioned to hear one sound. They would go forward, make a left, and get chocolate milk. And the other sound was to go forward to make a right to get to sugar water. And after many times they did that, then they did it another few hundred times until it actually became a habit for the rat, to the point that when they added a little bit of a chemical that would make the rat want to vomit, they added to the chocolate milk, and every time the sound played, it went up, left, took the chocolate milk, but he wanted to throw up because there was a chemical into it. But it didn't stop him because it was now his habit. He wasn't doing it because it was reacting to the sound of the bell to go and get the chocolate, but they had done it so many times that it was no longer he was doing it because the sound of the bell was ringing. He was doing it because it was his habit, to the point that when even they put some chemical for him to give him nauseating feeling, he wouldn't stop. He would still go forward when the bell would ring and get that thing that he knew is going to make him throw up. That's how important it is not to let OCD to become your habit. Meaning, the sooner you stop the compulsion, the better chance you have not to let it to become a habit, which becomes more difficult to get rid of. That's why this person kept doing it, the cleaning, the washing, and all that. Dopamine came after a while, it would become his habit, then he couldn't stop it. That's why then he ruined his life But then, of course, there's a way. They discovered that when you want to get rid of something that has become your habit, you got to connect it to your health and focus on the health hazards and the health benefits if you don't do it, or if you do it. Then that will motivate you to actually remedy that and wean off that habit and get back to normal behavior. So, MD Samir Khan says OCD is making my study tough. Yeah, sure. Liam Edmonds says, do you believe HOCD thoughts can come true because I have to go reassurance every week? I don't understand why should it come true. It just bugs the hell out of you, but because it's not in line with your values, it will never become true. But it always annoys you if you don't understand what it does, and that is all fictitious and illusory, and it's all thoughts. And the mind is the brain is so powerful that it makes you think these thoughts are actual, because to the brain, virtual and actual is not noticeable. It doesn't know which one is virtual, which one is actual. So if you believe the thoughts, and the brain thinks it's okay, I'm gonna make you feel what I suggest, and then because you feel something, you think the thought is, that's an evidence that the thought is truthful. No, brain has so much power that can make your body feel all kind of things, but that is no evidence that you're in line with that what the brain is suggesting. It's just it has that power. Same power that if you imagine you're in a vineyard in France and it's out of season and all the grapes are green and sour, and if you take one to taste it, you're in a tour and everybody's tasting these sour grapes, and you put it and it crunches and it's so sour that you start thinking, oh my God, it's sour, more sour than lemon. And then they give you lemon to back it up and squeeze it in your mouth, and the whole mouth is just water. If you focus on that a lot, you will see that you're salivating, even though there is no grape right now here, sour grape, or there is no lemon, because the brain has got the power to make you believe something. But just because you believe it and then it gives you, salivate, make you salivate, because the salivation is true doesn't mean that the actual lemon or the sour grape is true as well. Same thing HOCD does. When it makes your body to react because of anxiety and fear and all the other reasons that we've discussed in the past, that should not become an evidence that the actual suggestion about your inclination is also true because something is happening to the body. No, the brain has the power to make the body feel, even though it has nothing to do with your inclination. Mm-hmm. Because the association of the words and association of the concept of sex can actually create certain kind of a feeling, even though you have no interest in any sexual activity with that particular topic that has come to mind. For example, if you see a hindquarter of a horse with the muscles and shiny and so on, you might get aroused, but that doesn't mean you're horsesexual or you want to have sex with the horse. It just has the association of the muscle, the shininess, the movement of it, with the association of muscle, naked, sex. And sex takes you where sex is meaningful to you, and you can have an arousal. It could be something shiny. It could be a doorknob. It could be just a setting of a romantic dinner table for two, but there's no human being sitting on the table. But the setting could give you an idea, connotation, and association to sex, and the concept of sex make you react somehow. But that reaction doesn't mean what you saw was real, actually, or that you're actually interested to have sex with a horse. Or it could be another same gender you see, and the muscle and the association of the muscle, naked, sex, takes you to the concept of sex, and the brain doesn't understand the difference because brain doesn't have gender, and then makes you react to the concept of sex, and then you say, oh my goodness, I'm reacting to the same gender. No, it's a concept of sex that muscle or that naked part of that person. And remember, the research shows that we react sexually to anything sexually relevant. Hmm? That's why it could be an animal, and you could actually react sexually when there is a sexual part of the animal that you're actually looking at. Hmm? Or it could be same gender, but it's got, let's say, muscle here or muscle here, and that naked and the muscle, because you also have the same muscle and you use it for sex. So you see another person with the same muscle, and the connotation and association to sex comes up, and then the rest of it, the brain takes over, and you could get an arousal. So these are things that the brain is capable of doing, but you're not supposed to be bamboozled and be fooled by it. These are all having neuroscience backgrounds and reasons for it, and how the brain functions and the body reacts. And then you shouldn't be fooled by interpreting them in such a way that bamboozles you and makes you think, oh my goodness, I'm this or that, so forth. No. All right. Mr. Erefeld says, good morning or evening to you, Meron. Thank you very much. Good to see you here as well. Yeah, it's morning actually, because it's early morning. It's like 58 minutes past 12 midnight here. Electro Neo says, sir, I've recovered from mostly of HOCD, but I still have doubts and feelings. Yeah, that's what HOCD is. So you haven't recovered, but you understand what it is, and that's a good part of the recovery, because now you're no longer fooled by the feelings or the thoughts, and you don't interpret them. You just understand how it's working. That's why you feel the way you feel. Joy Kearney says, awesome. Hello, Joy. Let us know a little bit about you, if you will. Age, gender, where you're tuning in from. I'd be grateful. Emos, was it? Emos says, so Meron, doubt the question of about the question of YouTube followers during a live stream. I believe could be a mix of the time zone and lack of publicity. I'd go for the lack of publicity, because the time zone really should be a good one. Um, but the question is, we've been here long enough. We have 24,000 subscribers. Even among the subscribers, 24,000, we should have more than 8 people, let alone all the other people that could find out there's a live stream here. Why is it that they don't see it? I mean, our title is not bad. It's actually talks about life, breakups, and relationships. So that's kind of not too bad. It's a dilemma. That's why we grow so slowly. That's why I need everybody to somehow think of us to promote the channel by sharing it on your social media and talking about it in chat lines, and helping people to know that we are around, we've got your back, and we've got over 3,000 videos to help you sort out things that you may not be able to sort out on your own. Joy says, also, Emos says, most of your videos that I have seen have many views, and that is positive for a channel like this. But understandably, could be difficult to see a low number. Joy Kearney says, you have given me advice years ago, 2013. Oh my goodness, Joy, about my breakup. From then on, I have been following. Oh, delighted to hear that, Joy. Thank you very much. And I'm glad that you've been with us for so long, and that the channel has been helpful to you. More power to you. Thank you for spending some time with us. Well, guys and gals, if we don't have any more question, I think I could make myself another tea and maybe do some videos for you guys, maybe trim some out of the live streams that we previously had. And then maybe I get time to watch a video, I mean, a movie, and then sleep eventually. Last night I slept 7 o'clock. Somehow, I like nights and I stay up a little bit too late to do some work, but then I lose time and track of time, and before I know it, it's like 5 or 6 or sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning. All right. Well, I think Dimas's question here: do you have any tips about dealing with regrets after a breakup? Yeah, don't. What the regret is going to do for you? Why? Why would what would it do for you? If you think about it, the breakup is done. Regretting about what? I have a video about regret. How could you regret having done something when before you did it, you acted based on the amount of information and wisdom and experience that was available to you at the time you made that decision? How can you expect yourself to have known more than what you could actually know at the time you made the decision? Later on, the regret comes usually when people later on look back at the decision they made at the time they made, and they now say, oh, I should have made a different decision. How can you say that? Well, you say that because now the time where you made the decision has passed, and other information, wisdom, and experiences have shown up in you. And based on that new information and new education, new experiences and wisdom, you are saying that decision when you made back when was not the right decision. Well, you say that because it's already made it and passed, and you've come to know new information and new experiences and wisdom and knowledge. But at the time you made it, you didn't have this information. So you made the best possible decision for you at the time you made it without having any other information that you do have now. So if you didn't have that information and you made the best decision based on the information you had, education and know-how that you had at the time you made that decision, how could you regret it? How else? What else could you have done? What other decision could you have made? Now you're comparing it with new information. Some time has passed and you're looking at it differently, having gone through the exercise and seen the decision you made did not come to good fruition, did not give you good results. Now you say, oh, that was a wrong decision. But how did you know? Before you actually made the decision that you had to make, you had to make some decision, and based on what was available, you made a decision. And now you see the result wasn't as good as you thought. Now you're picking on yourself, oh, I regret to have made that decision. But when you made it, you didn't know what you know now. You couldn't have expected yourself to have made a different decision because then that is what you knew. Now, this is what you know. It's not fair to have any regret. My professor in university at one time, as I mentioned many times before, in a class course, Behavior in Organization, he said, at the time one makes a decision, one believes that that decision is correct. Otherwise, you wouldn't make it. Why would you make a decision that you know is wrong? So every time you make a decision, if you're a decent person, you would do your best to recognize what are the options, what is the best decision based on what's available information to you. You make a decision, but you believe that decision is correct because if you didn't, you're not crazy to make a bad decision purposely. So you can't regret later on because you did whatever you could, whatever was available to you to help you to make the right decision based on that you did. So, and I think perhaps if you go on my channel, search engine of the channel and simply put regret. Excuse me. If you put regret, you will have a bunch of videos. How to let go the regret of the past. That's one. No regrets. That's another one. What's your biggest regret in life? That's another one. How to stop negative thoughts, guilt, regrets. What do you think about regrets? How do I prevent regrets? How to prevent regrets. Okay. Okay, there's so many of them. There are like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 of them. And you can see the number of views, and then you can choose. The one that has highest view is 3,597. How to stop negative thoughts, fear of future guilt, and whatever. I guess, and that's not so relevant. The other one is 2,712. Says, my cheating ex would ever regret her choice. Okay, that's not the one either. Another one, 1,566, is how to stop negative thoughts, guilt, regrets. All right. Well, there's enough variations for you to just go on my search engine, guys, and put a word that you're looking for. You're bound to get a video about it. Pretty much almost anything you can think of after breakup or regarding OCD, HOCD, there's a video on it. We've got like over 3,000 videos here. And Emos says, I found it. I'll watch those later. Thank you very for the answer. Thank you very, the much is missing. You're quite welcome. Electron Neo says, Mehran, sir, sometimes when I don't get triggered by a thought, suddenly and randomly, my mind says, hey, you don't get triggered. That means you're okay. And as soon as I think this other thought, I see this, as soon as I think this, after that, I get triggered. Yeah, because you're now kind of pointing toward something that is not an issue, but you, since you're having overactive brain anyhow, overactive amygdala, and still it is part of the characteristics of you. So as soon as you kind of get assurance that I'm okay, then automatically the attention goes to what's the opposite of assurance? Because it's a doubting disease. So you doubt the assurance. That's why you should never seek assurance. It just throws you off. And don't have to say, oh, good, I achieved it. I'm good. I'm not bothered anymore. Don't. As soon as you do, then you're actually projecting light over what you actually don't think is important at the moment. Then it becomes important because you're directing your attention unknowingly. Don't seek assurance. You don't need assurance. Just you feel good, you say, okay, I feel good. And if it comes up, says, listen, I prefer when I felt good. So I'm not going to pay attention to your trigger thoughts. I'm going to ignore you. So you ignore it. Let it go. All right, guys. I think it's time for me to mosey on out and do other things. And this time for me to say I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. Don't forget to promote the channel however you can. And at the same time, tomorrow I will not have a live stream at 1 p.m. Vancouver time that you usually have it on Saturdays because I have a dentist appointment. So I got to be there. So, but hopefully tomorrow night, around midnight, I will try, which would be, for most of you, would be Sunday morning. And Joy Kearney says, thank you. You're quite welcome, dear. So in the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.